JJ Ramberg, and welcome to Your Business, where we give you tips and advice to help your business grow. When I walked into Diane Donnett's store and met her, my first impression was this woman is a spitfire. She's a woman in a male-dominated business, and it was her touch which turned this Cleveland-based gun store business around. Diane said in her case, being a woman in a male-dominated industry either didn't matter or it was a benefit for her. So when it comes to gender bias, does it exist? Let's turn to this week's board of directors. Stella Grizont is the managing director of Ladies Who Launch in New York City and New Jersey, and Jean Marks is the president of the Marks Group and small business columnist for the New York Times. Great to see both of you.
Hey,
great
JJ.
to be here. So Stella, you deal primarily with female entrepreneurs. Is there a gender bias, you think, when it comes to getting money or being a manager?
Well, I think women do business differently, absolutely. But I think one of the biggest things that I heard Diane say is even her guys know how to listen to women. And I think that's what it comes down to, is really knowing your consumer, listening to their needs, and responding accordingly. And I believe that she really contributed to that in terms of getting her staff primed to understanding women's needs and how they might approach the shooting range differently than men.
You know what I loved about her? I said it before, but she was a spitfire. You know,
Yes.
Some of the entrepreneurs I've met over the past 5 years, I've gone in and I just love them.
Yeah.
And she was this kind of woman who you think, wow, I want a little of what you have in there.
And that's why I don't get it sometimes, even when I see a piece like this. I mean, it's 2011. So if you're a smart business owner, you're a smart business owner. I don't know if gender really makes a difference. And just last week I wrote in my column, I mentioned that more women now are getting advanced degrees than men. And just this week is coming out where there's another survey that came out that showed that women entrepreneurs, theoretically, are running more profitable businesses than their male counterparts, which is really interesting.
It's interesting because I just had coffee the other day with Jennifer Hill, who is on the board of ASTIA, which helps women entrepreneurs get funding, and she was saying there is still a bias against women when it comes to funding.
And it is amazing that that still exists now in 2011.
Well, especially since women are launching businesses at twice the rate of men, and women are they make 85% of like the household purchasing decisions.
Absolutely.
And then just moving on to the inspiration side, she walked into this business, she didn't know anything. It was actually her husband who was supposed to be running the business.
Right.
And then she was better at it.
Right. Well, that's one thing that I think women do a little bit differently, is they trust their gut and they're more comfortable with going into the unknown and not knowing exactly the exit strategy, not knowing that linear plan. They're more comfortable with that, I would say.
There really is a barrier. I mean, even I was just saying to my wife the other day, when you look at the advertisements on TV and on and on magazines, for like consumer products in the house, it's still targeted towards women. You still see the women cleaning the house nowadays, and I still think to myself, God, we still at that point like it's 1950? So that is a barrier.
Not in my house. And that's what
media still thinks.
We have to end here, unfortunately. But one thing I just have to tell the truth, that bullseye, not me. That was a little trick editing.
We're not too surprised.
Thanks, guys. It's time now to answer some of your business questions. Stella and Jean are back with us once again. The first question is about appealing to potential investors.
As a small, innovative, growing business that is ready to go to the next level and seeking growth funding to do so, in addition to our business plan and a financial model, what other materials should we prepare for potential investors?
I think it's a good question because you absolutely want to be prepared. What else does she need?
You know, I spent 9 years at KPMG, so I went through a lot of public financings and offerings during that time. And when you file something like an S1 document or an S3 to raise money with the SEC, like the number 3 page in there is risk factors. It's a list of like 5 or 10 reasons why an investor should not be investing in your business.
And you have to be honest about this.
You do. So if we're talking about materials to include, you have the financing plan, you've got your budget, you've got your financial statements. You should be telling prospective investors, here's reasons why you would not want to invest in this business. I'm going to be straight out front about it so they know going in. I think anybody will appreciate the honesty and the credibility that it brings, and at least they go into it with full knowledge.
Right, and then look, that's an easy way for you to say, here's why you shouldn't, and here's why we've thought about that, and this is our plan for all this.
Right, it shows that you've thought all the way through.
Right.
Riding on the whole other end of that, I think in terms of materials and what you want to prepare is the experience you're going to create when you're talking to your investors, and how do you create a memorable experience for them. How do you, I mean, this is a sensory product. I would spray the room. I would really transport your investors so that they can remember you and remember your user experience. So bring in testimonials, bring in videos of your users, really show them proof of concept in the room, activate them.
And remember, you're getting them to like you as much as your product.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This is a question about managing your finances.
Can we handle our own accounting, or should we employ an accounting, a professional accountant?
It's interesting. We've gotten a lot of questions like this recently, and what I always say is, if you're not good at it, get somebody who is.
Absolutely. You definitely want to have an accountant for your year-end taxes at least. And for bookkeeping purposes, if you master your books, good for you. You can continue doing that if you're trying to save money. But definitely bring in an accountant. They're great for advising you when you're expanding on employees, when you need advice on payroll, how to be more profitable. I think it's a great add and a great decision.
JJ, I am a CPA, a certified public accountant, and I am like the world's worst CPA. 'Cause for me, if it was close enough, it was good enough, which is not like the way you want to be if you're a CPA. So I learned at a very early stage, outsource what you don't do really, really well.
Yes.
So even though I keep that certification because it helps me sell accounting software, we have an outside bookkeeper and we have an outside payroll service as well. It's a completely
And look, it doesn't have to be somebody full time.
No, not at all.
So
not at all.
The other thing that we were talking about this last week is you can get somebody to do your books, but don't completely outsource it. Don't forget to look at it and understand it yourself.
And if I could just say the bank recs is a big thing. You can get somebody to do your books. You should have somebody's going to do your bank recs. You should at least take a look at them once a month as well, because that's cash in and cash out is something you want to keep control of.
Okay, moving on to the next one. This is a question about bringing your product to retailers.
As a new company, where do I go to meet the decision maker or the buyer to, get tested in retail channels?
As a small company, we did a piece on a yoga wear company a while ago, and you know what she did? She would just go in.
Right.
She would just go into these small yoga stores and say, or studios, and say, "Look at my product."
Yep. We've been using LinkedIn all the time. The website LinkedIn.
Sure.
I mean, when you're trying to get buyers, especially at big corporations or people that you don't know or whatever, we've really been relying on that service because it connects in with people that we might have a connection with or that we do know, and it kind of gives some kind of a door that we can open if we want to send a letter or an email or get that, an introduction that way. So I don't know, just recently LinkedIn has been a really good place to find people that we want to talk to.
I've had plenty of members who literally go into Whole Foods and make deals that way. But what I would say, I heard her talk about testing different channels. I would first test your product, really know your audience, so that you can then match up with what distribution channels are appropriate for your brand.
Right.
Because if you're a high-end product, you don't want to put your product in Walmart to test it out to see if that would work. That's going to destroy your legitimacy. So you definitely want to first have a sense of who your target audience is and be really clear. It's not just moms 35 to 45. It's moms who shop at Whole Foods, who get a mani-pedi every week, and you really want to be descriptive and clear on who your target audience is.
The other thing is, I think for some of the smaller boutiques, you can also do it on consignment.
True.
So say, look, just test me out. You don't pay me anything if you don't sell it, but just take these for a month and see what happens.
And big retailers need to see a proven track record.
Right.
So, if you can start small, that's a great place.
Great.
All right, well, thanks so much, you guys, for all that advice. That was great. And if